I want students to think more about writing just for me as their professor, as the talking head in front of the room, which I ultimately don't think is a very productive form of learning, whether in the humanities, but specifically in First Nation studies more generally. So getting students to conceive audience and move beyond that and to find their own tone of voice. And I think introducing digital projects and open practices into that is fundamental to making that happen. Often the work that students have done academically is sort of treated as lesser than, or is sometimes used as fodder for professor research projects or a way to build up. So thinking about how to hold up student work as academic work and as viable contributions to this in ways that isn't appropriative, I think is a real challenge, not just at UBC, but for the academic world more broadly. Students, for the most part, don't understand their rights. So they don't understand copyright. And so that is a big part of class as well, is that making clear what copyright is, what Creative Commons is, how they can state their rights. I don't think they don't understand how that they can label and mark their work through things like Creative Commons to establish those rights. So while I use open practices and I use digital technologies, we do that through a window of copyright and Creative Commons so they can understand what the rights are around their words and the way that they get them out there. When you publish, traditionally, anytime you've published, there's a feedback, whether it's peer review or whether it's just people disagreeing with your point of view. But I think open makes that much bigger and much more fraught and much more attacky and negative in a lot of ways. So there's different stakes now with publishing, and open has widened that. All you need to do to understand how volatile these spaces are, open up a National Post article, go to the comments section there, and see the racism, the misogyny, the hatred, and the vitriol that's spewed out there. So I think the call-out culture is a big thing on Twitter and social media, is by pointing to people and saying, like, you are doing this wrong, how dare you, anger in there. But part of what I get my students to think about is this calling culture and how we can invite people into the conversation. So finding spaces where you can use calm, compassionate language to point out error, but not in a way that alienates people, but that brings them in and potentially looks at making them allies in this conversation.